Welcome to Earthenkind Quests. My name is Mike. In this episode of Nemesis Battles, a warlock leads a fiendish invasion to attack at the Spellsword Academy. The defenders at the academy include a bladesinger wizard, an eldritch knight fighter, an oath of devotion paladin, a light domain cleric, and a path of the wild heart barbarian, all at level 9, using the rules in the 2024 Player's Handbook of Dungeons & Dragons. The warlock is at level 15. She commands a group of hellbound warriors, using the statistics of hellhounds, ogres, and a purple worm in the 2025 Monster Manual, with modifications and special features that will be revealed during the encounter. I will clarify what happens with the game mechanics and the story narrative while demonstrating in the 3D world builder and virtual tabletop system of RPG stories. For extra details about the characters, in the video text description, you can find the web links for the character sheets in D&D Beyond. Today at the Spellsword Academy, 5 heroic adventurers are concerned about how a warlock could attack here at any time. The ASMR bladesinger wizard is named Sayla Moonglow. She is the current leader and director of the Spellsword Academy. This character recently retrained with the 2025 rules of the bladesinger in the sourcebook of Heroes of Faerun. The wood elf eldritch knight fighter is named Eldritch. After a series of adventures, Eldritch returned to the Spellsword Academy, soon to start a new role as a professor of arcane arts responsible for training the next generations of Academy students. The high elf oath of devotion paladin is named Vona Navan. She is a charisma-based paladin, making her most effective with her spellcasting and divine features. The human light domain cleric is named Clara Cloudburn. She provides the healing magic and support of any cleric, along with extra fire damage spells and other features that allow her to persevere through most combat situations. The paladin and the cleric are advanced students at the Spellsword Academy. They returned from a quest as their final trial for their graduation ceremony. The human path of the wild heart barbarian is named Anna Moll. She met with the paladin and the cleric during their quest, and she decided to travel with them, building on their new friendship. The 5 heroes have learned that a warlock is preparing to attack here at the Academy campus. They are unsure about when this event could occur. They do not know any details about how the warlock will approach with the attack. The infernal tiefling Fiend warlock is named Belade Burns. According to her current contract with her archfiend patron, Belade Burns must lead an attack at the Spellsword Academy. She was a student at the Academy years ago, at the same time with the bladesinger and the eldritch knight. Her time as a student was short because Belade Burns was expelled after her unauthorized access into a secret underground archive. The archfiend guards a secret motivation about this upcoming attack. Belade Burns keeps her own secret as well. The 5 heroes discover that the original founder of the Spellsword Academy learned the one true name of an archfiend, who happens to be the current patron of the warlock Belade Burns. Long ago, the Academy founder wrote the name of the fiend in a secret place that has remained secret until now. The 5 heroes suspect that the warlock will attack the Academy as part of the archfiend's desire to obtain or destroy the one place where the fiend's true name was written. Anyone who knows the fiend's true name will become capable of defeating the archfiend, who otherwise is immortal. Unknown to anyone at the Spellsword Academy right now, the warlock Belade Burns already is here, preparing for the attack. She is using a magical illusion, disguising herself as a curmudgeonly old scholar who most people would avoid and leave alone. She can cast Disguise Self at will without using a spell slot, instead using her eldritch invocation of the Mask of Many Faces. The warlock Belade Burns has been preparing for this event for a long time. Leading up to this point, she acquired her own magical lair, and she attracted a community of farmers and supporters. She crafted new magical armor, charged with 6 uses of the shield spell. She crafted a magical longsword, equivalent to a +2 Dragonwrath longsword, as her pact weapon, working with her Pact of the Blade. The warlock wanted to invest in more preparations, but the archfiend could not tolerate any further delays with the attack at the Spellsword Academy. According to the current fiendish contract, the warlock must lead this attack, striking fear and dread into the world, thereby increasing the fiend's power within the fiend's domain. Most people would suspect that the fiend wants to gain enough power to step into the mortal world. Otherwise, the archfiend is bound within a fiery domain. The archfiend can create a portal with limited energy, sufficient for sending a group of hellbound warriors into the mortal world. Whenever the warlock will commence with this attack at the Spellsword Academy, then she can contact with the Archfiend patron, and then the Fiend will send the hellbound warriors to join in the battle, aiming for total destruction of the Academy campus, leaving nothing to be rebuilt. The Archfiend never mentioned about the one true name being hidden somewhere at the Spellsword Academy. In fact, the Fiend does not know the precise location. The Fiend knows only vaguely that the location probably is within the Academy campus. The warlock Belade Burns learned about this secret on her own. Specifically, she contacted with the ancient spirit of the Academy founder, and she learned that the one true name of the Archfiend is hidden at the statue of the Academy founder, standing at the center of the campus. Belade Burns has kept this secret to herself. Today, Belade Burns used a magical teleportation device to bring herself to the Spellsword Academy. She holds a tiny object that can bring her back to her point of origin, but she must use it within the next 24 hours, or else its magic will become lost. The warlock wears the magical illusory appearance of an Academy scholar. She blends into the crowd, and she appears to be like one of the many people here admiring the statue of the Academy founder. The statue is protected by a powerful magical ward. Over the last centuries, people accepted that of course the statue would be protected in this way. The warlock Belade Burns very well could be the first person to attempt to dispel the magical ward. While still maintaining her magical disguise, Belade Burns rolls an Arcana skill check. She rolls 14, not enough to learn what she intends. With her feature of the Dark One's own luck, she adds 1 die 10 to the roll, resulting in a total of 19. The warlock learns that she can attempt to cast Dispel Magic with a high difficulty of a spellcasting ability check, as if trying to dispel a 9th level spell. If the warlock will be successful, then the magical ward will deactivate only for a brief moment. It will reactivate at the end of the warlock's turn when casting Dispel Magic. During this brief moment, the statue will reveal a stone tablet that contains the writing of the true name of the Archfiend. The warlock would need to grab it or study it rapidly within the narrow window of opportunity. The warlock Belade Burns evaluates that at some point during the upcoming attack battle, she can find an opportune moment for dispelling the magical ward and obtaining the tablet with the true name of the Archfiend. The larger battle will be enough to distract the heroes of the Spellsword Academy, and more importantly, to wear down their abilities to stop the warlock from achieving her personal goal. At this time, the warlock moves to a secluded location where nobody will see her. Years ago, she devoted countless hours in this same place, studying alone as an Academy student, before she was expelled. The Disguise Self spell comes to an end. During the next 1 minute, the warlock casts the spell Contact Other Plane. With the Contact Patron feature, the warlock can cast the spell without using a spell slot as long as she is contacting her Archfiend patron. Furthermore, she automatically succeeds with the Intelligence saving throw to perform the spell. Technically, the spell of Contact Other Plane is intended for asking 5 questions with a yes or no response. In this particular case, I am interpreting that the Archfiend has been waiting to be contacted in this way as the trigger for beginning the attack at the Spellsword Academy. The Archfiend begins the process to open the portal, requiring about 1 minute while the warlock makes her final preparation. As a bonus action, Belade Burns casts Armor of Agathis on herself, using a 5th level Pact Magic spell slot. This spell will last for 1 hour. I will describe the details when they will become relevant. Belade Burns concentrates for 1 minute with her Magical Cunning feature. She regains the Pact Magic spell slot of her Armor of Agathis. She will need all 3 of her Pact Magic spell slots for her upcoming plan. Now the Archfiend opens the portal into the mortal world. A group of hellbound warriors invades into the Spellsword Academy. The portal closes. The bystanders run away to safety. The 5 heroes stand to defend against the fiendish invasion. The hellbound warriors include the equivalents of 5 hellhounds, 5 ogres, and 1 purple worm. They all are modified to be fiends instead of other creature types. They all gain additional special features that I will describe during the course of the action. All of the participants here roll for initiative. The bladesinger rolls 3. The eldritch knight rolls 18. The paladin rolls 1. The cleric rolls 18. The barbarian rolls with the advantage of her feral instinct feature, resulting in 19. The fiend warlock Belade Burns rolls 19. For a simpler combat, I am using the median roll of the 5 hellhounds. They roll 12, 3, 7, 16, and 19 with a median result of 12. Likewise, I am using the median roll of the 5 fiendish ogres. They roll 9, 1, 14, 14, and 2 with a median result of 9. The Fiendish Purple Worm rolls 23! In the simplified initiative order, the Fiendish Purple Worm will act first, followed by the Barbarian, and then the Warlock, the Eldritch Knight, the Cleric, 5 Hellhounds, 5 Fiendish Ogres, the bladesinger, and lastly the Paladin. The 5 heroes of the Spellsword Academy can identify that the hellbound warriors all belong to the Fiend creature type. They all are immune to fire and poison damage. The hellbound warriors gaze with hunger not only at the people here, but also at the buildings, eager to destroy everything. Previously, the Warlock Baladeburns requested for the hellbound warriors to be equipped with siege features, producing double damage against objects and structures. The Warlocks started with construction of siege engines, yet the Archfiend grew too impatient to wait for this work to be completed. The Fiendish Purple Worm gains a special feature of a siege rampage that I will describe when it will happen. The Devotion Paladin Vonanavan and the Light Cleric Clara Cloudburn notice an intense aura of hatred emanating around each of the hellbound warriors. These creatures are empowered with the ability to inflict a hellbound curse. With the awareness of these extra challenges, the combat proceeds in the initiative order. In round 1, the Fiendish Purple Worm can use its special feature of the Siege Rampage. Once during each of its turns, the worm can use its action to dash while moving with its burrowing speed through one object or structure. As long as the worm can move at least 1/4 of the way through its target, then the target will be destroyed. The worm uses this feature now. It burrows beneath the ground and resurfaces, burrowing through a primary structure at the Academy campus. The structure crumbles into rubble. The area beneath this building happens to contain a secret underground archive. This area is destroyed as well. Some of the world's most ancient and precious tomes and scrolls now are buried beneath the collapsed rubble. The area of the collapsed debris now becomes treated as a collapsing roof trap. All creatures within the collapsed area roll dexterity saving throws to avoid half of the damage of the falling debris. The bystanders of the Academy students and scholars within this area will not survive. The purple worm rolls its dexterity saving throw, a result of 2 fails, and the worm suffers the full amount of 18 bludgeoning damage. The area of the collapsed debris now is treated as difficult terrain. For most creatures, the movement speed through here is halved. The path of the Wild Heart Barbarian, Anna Maul, has battled against a purple worm previously, and she is prepared to do so again now. With her bonus action, Anna Maul begins her Barbarian Rage. With her Rage of the Wilds, she chooses the Bear option, gaining resistance to all damage types except for Force, Necrotic, Psychic, and Radiant. As part of the bonus action of starting her Rage, the Barbarian can move up to half of her speed. She then moves her regular 40 feet. Given the difficult terrain of the collapsing debris, she cannot move far enough to reach into melee contact with the Fiendish Purple Worm. Anna Maul rests her maul in one hand while she uses her other hand to draw out a javelin and make a thrown weapon attack. She uses her reckless attack feature, granting advantage on her attack rolls, although incoming attack rolls against her will be with advantage as well. With the reckless advantage, the first javelin attack roll is 18, hitting against the Fiendish Purple Worm's armor class of 18. The attack causes 13 piercing damage. The slow weapon mastery of the javelin slows the worm's speed by 10 feet. For her second attack, the Wild Heart Barbarian draws another javelin and throws it at the gargantuan worm. Now she forgoes the advantage of the reckless attack, and instead she uses her Brutal Strike option. The attack roll is 24, hitting the armor class of 18. The javelin causes 12 piercing damage. The Brutal Strike adds 2 piercing damage. The slow weapon mastery cannot apply more than once to a single target. The Brutal Strike allows an option to hamstring the worm, reducing the worm's speed by 15 feet. The Fiendish Purple Worm retains 202 of its total 247 hit points. Its speed has been slowed down to only 15 feet instead of the usual 50 feet until the start of the Barbarian's next turn. The Warlock Baladeburns so far is pleased with the start of this battle. Nonetheless, she knows that many different possibilities still could develop. Now is her first time to see the Barbarian in action. Otherwise, the Warlock has been in combat with the other characters previously, and she is familiar with most of their abilities and features. The Warlock steps away from the tower structure. She does not yet move directly toward her objective of the statue of the Academy founder. Instead, she moves to occupy a space that she considers to be more beneficial for now. Baladeburns is protected by her Armor of Agathis spell, granting 25 temporary hit points. For as long as the warlock will retain any of these temporary hit points, then any successful melee attack against her automatically will cause 25 points of cold damage against the melee attacker. As her action, the warlock casts Darkness without using a spell slot, instead using her Infernal Tiefling lineage spellcasting. With her concentration for the next 10 minutes, the warlock surrounds herself with magical darkness in a radius of 15 feet. Dark vision and most other senses cannot perceive through the darkness spell. The warlock, though, can use her eldritch invocation of Devil's Sight to see through the magical darkness. The Eldritch Knight fighter, Eldritch, considers her various options of how to proceed with this battlefield. She was victorious in a 1-versus-1 duel against this warlock previously, but now the warlock has grown considerably more powerful. Eldritch knows that her attack rolls against the warlock will be at disadvantage within the darkness. Additionally, with the warlock's Armor of Agathis spell, any successful melee attack will cause more damage to the Eldritch Knight than to the warlock. Eldritch suggests for the bladesinger to attempt with a lightning bolt in the direction of the warlock within the darkness spell. For now, the Eldritch Knight focuses on the hellhounds. As a bonus action, the Eldritch Knight casts the spell Jump on herself using a first-level spell slot. During the next 1 minute, once during each of her turns, the Eldritch Knight can use 10 feet of her movement to jump 30 feet. Eldritch moves into melee contact with one hellhound. She begins her series of weapon attacks using her scimitar in one hand and her short sword in the other hand. The first attack is with the scimitar. A roll of 28 hits against the hellhound's armor class of 15. The attack causes 10 slashing damage. The Nick weapon mastery of the scimitar allows an extra attack with another weapon in a different hand. The extra Nick attack is with the short sword. The attack rolls 23, hitting the target. The Nick attack causes 11 piercing damage. The short sword attack applies the Vex weapon mastery, granting advantage on the Eldritch Knight's next attack roll against this same target. Now the Eldritch Knight makes her regular second attack with the short sword. With the Vex advantage, the attack roll is 18, hitting the hellhound. The attack causes 8 piercing damage, and the Vex weapon mastery applies again. The hellhound retains 29 of its total 58 hit points. The Eldritch Knight fighter, Eldritch, decides to use her action surge, gaining another 2 attacks. Continuing with the short sword, the Vex advantage attack roll is 24, hitting against the armor class of 15. The attack produces 7 piercing damage. The Vex weapon mastery continues. Eldritch makes her final attack of this turn using the short sword with the Vex advantage. The attack roll is 15, hitting the hellhound again. The attack brings 11 piercing damage. The hellhound retains only 11 of its total 58 hit points. The Light Domain Cleric, Clara Cloudburn, understands the serious threat of this situation. She steps backward away from the hellbound warriors. As her action, the Light Domain Cleric casts the spell Spirit Guardians, upcasting with a 4th level spell slot. With her concentration during the next 10 minutes, the cleric generates a field of divine energy around herself, emanating in a radius of 15 feet. She designates herself and her allies to be unaffected by this emanation. For all of the other creatures, the area of the Spirit Guardians spell becomes difficult terrain, essentially meaning that movement speed is halved. Additionally, whenever the emanation enters into the space of an enemy, or whenever one of those creatures first enters into the Spirit Guardians or ends its turn inside here, then it must roll a Wisdom saving throw. Upon a failure, the target suffers 4d8 radiant damage with the 4th level upcasting of the spell. Even with a successful saving throw, the target still sustains half of the damage. A creature can be affected in this way only once during each turn. Now Clara Cloudburn moves toward the hellhounds and the fiendish ogres, bringing the emanation of the Spirit Guardians along with her. The cleric's allies are unaffected, but the 5 hellhounds and 1 fiendish ogre are subjected to the radiant damage when the emanation enters into their space. The Spirit Guardian spell generates 14 radiant damage. All of the affected creatures roll Wisdom saving throws to attempt to avoid half of this damage. The hellhounds roll 13, 11, 9, 11, and 7. The fiendish ogre rolls 11. All of these creatures fail the saving throw and suffer the full amount of 14 radiant damage. The hellhound that already was damaged by the Eldritch Knight now is reduced to 0 hit points. It vanishes, and it returns to the fiery domain of the Archfiend. The other hellhounds now retain 44 of their total 58 hit points. The one affected fiendish ogre now retains 54 of its total 68 hit points. In the simplified initiative order, the hellhounds are the next to act. One hellhound maneuvers closer to the Eldritch Knight. It breathes out a burst of fire in a 15-foot cone, affecting the Eldritch Knight and the Light Cleric. The fire breath produces 20 fire damage. The 2 characters roll dexterity saving throws to avoid half of the damage. The Eldritch Knight rolls 14 and succeeds. The Light Cleric is within the 10-foot radius of the Paladin's aura of protection, adding a bonus of +5 and rolling 22 for a success. The 2 characters sustain only 10 points of fire damage. Another hellhound releases its fire breath in a 15-foot cone, affecting the cleric, the bladesinger, and the paladin. The fire breath generates 16 fire damage. All 3 of the targets are within the paladin's aura of protection, gaining the +5 bonus with the dexterity saving throw. The cleric rolls 6 and fails. The bladesinger rolls 22 and succeeds. The paladin rolls 6 and fails. Additionally, the bladesinger uses her reaction to cast Absorb Elements with a first-level spell slot, reducing the fire damage by half. The next hellhound maneuvers to release its fire breath, once again engulfing the cleric, the bladesinger, and the paladin. The fire breath produces 12 fire damage. With the dexterity saving throws, the cleric rolls 7 and fails. The bladesinger rolls 12 and succeeds. The paladin rolls 25 and succeeds. The bladesinger's Absorb Elements spell continues to absorb half of her incoming fire damage, lasting until the start of her next turn. With the 2 instances of damage, the cleric should have rolled 2 Constitution saving throws to maintain concentration on the Spirit Guardian's spell. I am inserting the rolls now while editing the video, so the dice roller will appear outside the normal sequence here. The cleric rolls with the advantage of the Warcaster feat. The results of 25 and 26 succeed. The concentration continues. The final remaining hellhound lunges to attack the bladesinger. It makes 2 bite attacks, rolling with the advantage of pack tactics, while at least one ally is within 5 feet of the target. The light cleric intervenes, using her reaction with her warding flare. The bladesinger gains 12 temporary hit points, and the first incoming attack is with disadvantage, cancelling the advantage of the pack tactics. Against the bladesinger wizard, the first regular attack roll is 23, and the second attack roll with the pack tactics advantage is 21. I am interpreting that the bladesinger started this morning with casting mage armor on herself with a first level spell slot, making her armor class 13 plus her dexterity modifier for a total of 15. The 2 attacks hit. The bladesinger cannot use a reaction to block the attacks with a shield spell because she already used her reaction to cast Absorb Elements. In total, the 2 bite attacks cause 16 piercing damage and 12 fire damage. The fire damage is reduced by half with the Absorb Elements spell down to 6. The bladesinger uses all of the 12 temporary hit points of the cleric's warding flare. Now she retains 39 of her total 56 hit points. With this damage, the characters learn about the special hellbound curse. Whenever a hellbound warrior makes an attack roll that results in causing damage to a creature, then it regains hit points equal to the damage output. This feature works only with attack rolls, such as with the Hellhound's Bite attack, and it does not work with other kinds of damage, such as the Hellhound's 15-foot cone of fire breath. The characters witness the Hellhound absorbing energy from the 2 bite attacks, healing itself back up to its full amount of 58 hit points. Additionally, the target of the damage becomes cursed. While cursed in this way, whenever the bladesinger will start her turn within 60 feet of at least one hellbound warrior, then she will suffer 4d4 of necrotic damage. The bladesinger Salamunglo feels the weight of the hellbound curse bearing down on her. Furthermore, if a cursed target, such as the bladesinger right now, will fall to 0 hit points, then the body will disappear from its current location and reappear in the Fiend's domain as a captive of the Archfiend. The paladin and the cleric recognize what is happening here with the hellbound curse. They know that the hellbound curse can be broken after completing a long rest or after receiving the benefits of a spell, such as Remove Curse or Greater Restoration. The 4 remaining hellhounds end their turns inside the area of the Spirit Guardians. They are subjected to another 26 radiant damage. They roll wisdom saving throws to try to avoid half of the damage. They roll 9, 10, 10, and 13, all resulting in failures and the full amount of the radiant damage. The hellhound that heals itself now retains 32 of its total 58 hit points. Other 3 hellhounds retain 18 of their total 58 hit points. Next in the initiative order, the fiendish ogres prepare to attack. 2 of the fiendish ogres move to attack the tower nearby the warlock. I am treating this tower as a huge structure with armor class of 17 and 100 hit points. It gains a damage threshold of 20, meaning that any single instance of damage needs to be at least this threshold of 20 points in order to harm the structure. Damage below the threshold of 20 points would result in 0 damage. The 2 fiendish ogres attack with their hellish hammers based on the great club attack of a regular ogre. The attack rolls are 16 and 7, both missing against the structure's armor class of 17. The warlock instructs for the remaining fiendish ogres to forget about this structure for now, and instead to attack the adventurers. 1 fiendish ogre already is within the Spirit Guardians. It moves toward the Eldritch Knight. It rolls to attack with the hellish hammer. The attack rolls 11, missing against the armor class of 17. This fiendish ogre ends its turn inside the Spirit Guardians. It is exposed to 14 points of radiant damage. It rolls a wisdom saving throw. With a result of 14, the fiendish ogre suffers the full amount of the radiant damage. It now retains 40 of its total 68 hit points. The other two of the fiendish ogres move forward to attack the bladesinger and the paladin. One squeezes at half speed through a narrow available space, another moves a longer way around the statue. They both move at half speed through the difficult terrain of the Spirit Guardians. When they first enter into the Spirit Guardians, though, they become exposed to 19 points of radiant damage. They roll wisdom saving throws with results of 3, 9, indicating that they suffer the full amount of the radiant damage. One fiendish ogre attacks the bladesinger, using his fiendish hammer. The attack roll is 17, hitting against the armor class of 15. The bladesinger still cannot use her reaction to cast the shield spell, so she cannot block this attack. The hellish hammer causes 14 bludgeoning damage. As a hellbound warrior, the fiendish ogre regenerates the same amount of hit points, now with 63 of its total 68 hit points. Bladesinger can be affected by only one hellbound curse at a time, and she still is cursed in this way. The other fiendish ogre attacks the paladin with the fiendish hammer. The attack roll is 18, hitting against the armor class of 17. The hammer causes 13 bludgeoning damage. The fiendish ogre regenerates, now with 62 of its total 68 hit points. Now the paladin is affected by the hellbound curse, just like the bladesinger wizard. The bladesinger wizard, Salamunglo, starts her turn under the effects of the hellbound curse. She is within 60 feet of at least one hellbound warrior, and therefore she suffers 13 necrotic damage. As an ASMR though, the bladesinger is resistant to necrotic and radiant damage, reducing the damage by half down to 6. Now the bladesinger stands with 19 of her 56 hit points. If she will fall to 0 hit points while she still is cursed, then she will be transported into the fiery domain of the Archfiend as a captive of the Fiend. Salamunglo uses her bonus action to start her blade song. During the next 1 minute, the blade song grants several benefits. The bladesinger gains 10 feet of movement. She can use her intelligence modifier of +5 with her weapon attack and damage rolls. She applies the same +5 bonus of her intelligence modifier to her armor class and to her constitution saving throws for concentrating on spells. As her action, the bladesinger casts Lightning Bolt, upcasting with a 4th level spell slot. She produces a streak of lightning 5 feet wide and 100 feet long. The bladesinger aims the lightning bolt toward the center of the darkness spell, where she suspects that the warlock is standing. The trajectory of the lightning bolt passes through 2 of the hellhounds and 2 of the fiendish ogres, and then it streaks into the space of the warlock. With the 4th level upcasting, the lightning bolt generates 30 points of lightning damage. The affected targets roll dexterity saving throws, trying to dodge away from half of the lightning damage. The 2 hellhounds roll 14 and 7, and they both fail. The 2 fiendish ogres roll 6 and 12, and they both fail. The warlock rolls 17 and succeeds. One hellhound retains only 2 hit points, and the other has been reduced to 0 hit points. The 2 fiendish ogres retain 33 and 10 of their 68 hit points. The warlock stands with all of her regular 108 hit points plus 10 temporary hit points of the armor of Agathis. The hellhound with 0 hit points should vanish and return to the fiery domain of the Archfiend. I made an error during the video editing, and sometimes the hellhound still shows in the scene here. I will highlight it to indicate that it should be vanished. With the damage of the lightning bolt, the warlock belly burns needs to roll a constitution saving throw for concentrating on her darkness spell. She rolls 24, and she maintains the concentration. Furthermore, the warlock uses her reaction to cast Hellish Rebuke without using a spell slot, instead using her infernal tiefling lineage spellcasting. A flame bursts out from the warlock and strikes at the bladesinger, producing 15 fire damage. The bladesinger rolls a dexterity saving throw. She rolls 26, indicating that she can dodge and thereby avoid half of the fire damage. The bladesinger wizard Salamunglo retains only 12 of her total 56 hit points. With the hellbound curse, she is in danger at this time. Lastly, in the initiative order, the Oath of Devotion paladin, Vona Navan, starts her turn with 41 of her total 76 hit points. She understands that the hellbound curse affects the bladesinger and herself. I forgot about the automatic 4x4 of necrotic damage with the hellbound curse. Perhaps the paladin gained a divine blessing of plot armor. The paladin reaches out to touch the bladesinger, applying the Lay on Hands feature. The bladesinger feels a warmth of divine energy. She recovers 30 hit points, now standing with 42 of her total 56 hit points. The Devotion Paladin retains another 15 points of her Lay on Hands feature for emergency use. As her action, the Devotion Paladin casts the spell Command, upcasting with a 3rd level spell slot. She targets 3 creatures that she can see within 60 feet, including the 2 nearest fiendish ogres and the 1 nearest hellhound. Vona Navan commands for these vile creatures to flee. They roll wisdom saving throws to try to resist the divine order. The fiendish ogres roll 14 and 13. The hellhound rolls 9. All 3 of these foes fail with the saving throws. During their next turns, all 3 of these creatures must obey the command to flee. They can do nothing else during their turns. In round 2, the fiendish purple worm starts its turn with 202 of its total 247 hit points. The gargantuan creature is annoyed about being attacked by the wild heart barbarian. Given the barbarian's prior attacks, the worm now is slowed down to a movement of 15 feet instead of its usual 50 feet. The fiendish purple worm cannot move far enough to engage in melee contact with the barbarian, nor can it move far enough to destroy another building of the Spellsword Academy campus. The worm burrows into the ground and uses its dash action to move in the direction of another building. The wild heart barbarian, Anna Maul, starts her turn with all of her 113 hit points. She would have liked to fight more against this fiendish purple worm. Currently, though, the worm is burrowing beneath the ground where it is protected by total cover. Anna Maul moves across the difficult terrain of the collapsed debris. She moves at half of her 40 feet of movement speed. She manages to step into melee contact with the nearest hellhound. With her barbarian rage and advantage of her reckless attack feature, she makes her first attack with her maul. The advantage attack roll is 24, hitting against the hellhound's armor class of 15. The maul delivers 20 bludgeoning damage. The hellhound was wounded previously, and it falls with 0 hit points. It vanishes and returns to the domain of the archfiend. Ordinarily, with the Great Weapon Master feat, after dropping an opponent to 0 hit points, the barbarian immediately can make an extra attack with a bonus action using the same Great Weapon. Currently, though, no other enemy is within the melee reach of the barbarian's maul. For her second attack, Anna Maul rests her maul in one hand. With her other hand, she draws out a javelin and throws it, aiming at the severely wounded fiendish ogre standing next to the eldritch knight. The reckless attack advantage roll is 22, hitting against the armor class of 11. The javelin brings 12 piercing damage. The fiendish ogre falls with 0 hit points. It vanishes from this world, and it returns to the domain of the archfiend. The warlock Blade Burns starts her turn with all of her 108 hit points, as well as 10 temporary hit points remaining of her Armor of Agathis. Blade Burns identifies the paladin as a problem, not only with her powerful spellcasting, but also with her aura of protection, granting extra bonus with saving throws. The warlock moves toward the paladin. As a bonus action, she casts Misty Step, without using a spell slot, instead using her Fey-touched feat. She teleports 30 feet into a dangerous position, surrounded by enemies, but she is willing to accept this risk for now. She expects that the darkness spell will help to protect her, at least for long enough to achieve her intended goal. Blade Burns is within the emanation of the Spirit Guardian spell. She is exposed to 19 radiant damage. She rolls a Wisdom saving throw. A result of 12 ordinarily would fail, but the Warlock uses her Dark One's own luck feature to add 8 to the result, succeeding with a total of 20. She avoids half of the damage. Furthermore, with her Fiendish Resilience feature, the Fiend Warlock is resistant to radiant damage, reducing the total damage down to 4. The Warlock still retains all of her 108 hit points, plus 6 of her temporary hit points of the Armor of Agathis. With the incoming damage, though, Blade Burns needs to roll a Constitution saving throw to concentrate on her Darkness spell. She rolls 13 and succeeds. The concentration continues. Blade Burns can make 3 attacks with her Pact Weapon Longsword, using her Pact of the Blade, along with the Eldritch invocations, the Thirsting Blade, and Devouring Blade. The Pact Weapon is a +2 Dragonwrath Longsword, empowered with fire energy. The Warlock is using her Devil's Sight to see through the Darkness spell, thereby gaining advantage on her attack rolls against her enemies who cannot see through the darkness. The first advantage attack roll against the Paladin is 19, hitting against the armor class of 17. Using the two-handed versatility, the Dragonwrath Longsword produces 16 slashing damage plus 5 fire damage. With the successful hit, the Warlock applies an Eldritch Smite, expending a 5th level Pact Magic spell slot. The Eldritch Smite produces 26 force damage. The Oath of Devotion Paladin, Bona Navan, falls with 0 hit points. She is unconscious and incapacitated. Currently, the Paladin is affected by the Hellbound curse, because previously she sustained damage from an attack roll by a Hellbound warrior. With this Hellbound curse, the Paladin cannot stay in this world for making death saving throws. Instead, a hellish fire consumes the Paladin, and she is transported into the domain of the Archfiend. The Paladin's aura of protection disappears from this place. Her allies cannot see what is happening within the darkness spell, but they can feel the abrupt absence. They fear for the worst about their friend. The Warlock Blade Burns shifts her attention now to the bladesinger. She makes her second attack with the Dragonwrath Longsword, again with advantage due to her Devil's Sight within the darkness spell. The advantage attack roll is 27, hitting against the bladesinger's increased bladesong armor class of 20 and too high to be blocked by a shield spell. The Dragon Wrath Longsword produces 17 slashing damage and 9 fire damage. In desperation, the Bladesinger uses her reaction to cast Absorb Elements with a first level spell slot, reducing the fire damage by half. She stands with only 21 of her total 56 hit points. With the successful hit, the Warlock draws on her fiendish powers to use her special feature of Hurl Through Hell. A hellish flame erupts. Sailor Moonglow feels herself being drawn away from this world. She rolls a charisma saving throw. She no longer gains the benefit of the Paladin's aura of protection. She rolls 4 and fails. Sailor Moonglow finds herself being hurled through the fiery domain of the Arch-Fiend. She sees that the Devotion Paladin, Vonanavan, is in here as well. The experience makes the Bladesinger incapacitated, so she cannot speak or interact right now. Meanwhile, the intensity of the hurl through hell causes 38 psychic damage! The Bladesinger wizard Sailor Moonglow falls with 0 hit points. Like the Paladin, she still retains the hellbound curse. She will stay here in the domain of the Arch-Fiend as a captive of the Fiend. The Warlock, Belly Burns, reduced 2 opponents down to 0 hit points, and each time she could have used her feature of the Dark One's Blessing to gain 20 temporary hit points. Temporary hit points do not stack with each other. Instead, the most recent amount of temporary hit points always becomes the new number, replacing any pre-existing number. I am interpreting that the Warlock prefers to retain the 6 temporary hit points still remaining with her Armor of Agathis spell, in order to preserve the full benefits of this spell. In some interpretations, a character could use the 20 temporary hit points without losing the spell. Belly Burns still can make her third attack with her packed weapon. She shifts her attention to attack the Light Domain Cleric. Once again, she gains advantage with her Devil's Sight in the area of the Darkness spell. The advantage attack roll is 23, hitting against the Cleric's armor class of 17. The Cleric already used her reaction with her Warding Flare feature to protect the Bladesinger earlier, and therefore the reaction no longer is available for casting the Shield spell with her Magic Initiate feat. The Dragon Wrath Longsword produces 16 slashing damage and 10 fire damage. With this instance of damage, the Light Cleric needs to roll a Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration on her Spirit Guardian's spell. With the advantage of the Warcaster feat, a result of 22 succeeds. Concentration continues. Meanwhile, the Cleric remains standing with 20 of her total 84 hit points. The Eldritch Knight Fighter, Eldritch, starts her turn with 57 of her total 67 hit points. She cannot see into the area of the Darkness spell. She understands that the Warlock is at the center of the darkness. She could hear the sounds of the battle as well. Eldritch guides herself over toward the center of the darkness spell. She can manage easily enough with her base movement of 45 feet as a wood elf with the speedy feat, plus the option of using 10 feet of her movement to jump 30 feet with her active jump spell. The Eldritch Knight moves until she bumps into the space of the Warlock. Inside the magical darkness, Eldritch can attack with disadvantage. Her first attack roll is with her scimitar. The disadvantage attack roll is 14, normally hitting against the Warlock's armor class of 13. The Warlock, however, uses her reaction to cast Shield, expending 1 charge of her enspelled armor, boosting her armor class up to 18, thereby blocking the attack. Even when missing, though, the scimitar applies the Nick Weapon Mastery, allowing an extra attack with a different weapon. Eldritch makes the Nick attack with her short sword. Within the darkness, the disadvantage attack roll is 13, blocked by the Warlock's Shield spell armor class of 18. For her regular second attack, the Eldritch Knight attempts once more with her short sword. The disadvantage attack roll is 16, missing the Warlock once again. With her bonus action, the Eldritch Knight uses her second wind feature. She regains 18 hit points, more than sufficient to restore her full amount of 67 hit points. She could apply the tactical shift option to move up to half of her speed without opportunity attacks. She decides to stay here in melee contact with the Warlock. The Light Domain Cleric, Clara Cloudburn, starts her turn with 20 of her 84 hit points. She cannot see through the darkness spell. Given her connection with divine powers, the Cleric knows that the Paladin and the Bladesinger both have vanished and have been transported into the domain of the Arch-Fiend. The Cleric could notice the nearby combat activity, and she can ascertain the general space that the Warlock occupies, even though she cannot see the Warlock right now. Clara Cloudburn focuses her divine energy on driving away the darkness. As her action, she casts Dispel Magic with a 3rd level spell slot. The darkness spell automatically disappears. After using a spell slot with her action, the Cleric cannot use another spell slot to cast Healing Word or another spell with her bonus action. In this case, she stays in her current position while she encourages the Barbarian and the Eldritch Knight to continue with the fight. 1 hellhound and 2 fiendish ogres technically still are under the effects of the paladin's command spell, commanding them to flee. I am interpreting that they still obey the command even though the paladin no longer is here. They use their dash actions to move away from this place. They can do nothing else during their turns, and then the spell ends. Another hellhound inhales and tries to recharge its fire breath. With a roll of 4, the hellhound cannot reignite its fire breath at this time. Without the fire breath, the hellhound lunges to attack the nearest enemy. It makes 2 bite attacks at the cleric. It rolls with the advantage of pack tactics, given that the warlock is an ally within 5 feet of the intended target. The light cleric intervenes with her reaction to use her warding flare feature. She gains 9 temporary hit points, and she imposes disadvantage on the first incoming attack roll, canceling the advantage of the pack tactics just for this one attack. The first bite attack roll is 16, missing against the cleric's armor class of 17. The second bite attack gains the advantage of the pack tactics. The advantage roll is 21, hitting the cleric. The bite inflicts 6 piercing damage and 3 fire damage, depleting the cleric's 9 temporary hit points. With the damage, the cleric rolls a constitution saving throw to concentrate on her Spirit Guardian's spell. With the advantage of her Warcaster feat, she rolls 21 for a success. The Spirit Guardian's spell persists. The Hellhound moves away from the Spirit Guardians. The cleric already used her reaction with her warding flare, so she cannot use her reaction for an opportunity attack. The Hellhound is a hellbound warrior. When it causes damage with an attack against the cleric, then it regains hit points equal to this damage, now with 41 of its total 58 hit points. The Hellhound's attack brought the Hellbound curse upon the cleric, affecting her in the same way as already happened with the paladin and the bladesinger. At the start of each of her turns while cursed, the cleric will suffer 4d4 necrotic damage if she is within 60 feet of at least one Hellbound warrior. More concerning though, if she will fall to 0 hit points while still cursed, then the cleric will be transported into the domain of the Archfiend as a captive of the Fiend. The warlock calls out for the 2 fiendish ogres at the tower to stop trying to destroy the structure and instead to attack the cleric, who is vulnerable in this moment. The fiendish ogres move closer, but they cannot move far enough to enter into melee contact. They are unwilling to dash to enter into the emanation of the Spirit Guardians because they saw what happened to their allies in here. In this case, they grab pieces of the nearby rubble debris from the structure that was destroyed by the fiendish purple worm. I am interpreting that the fiendish ogres can make attack rolls with their strength modifiers. A successful hit will cause 2d6 plus 4 bludgeoning damage. The 2 thrown debris attack rolls are 9 and 19. One piece of debris hits against the cleric's armor class of 17. The hit causes 15 bludgeoning damage. The fiendish ogres are hellbound warriors and they could regain hit points whenever they damage a target with their attacks. However, they both still retain the full amount of their 68 hit points. After sustaining the damage, the light domain cleric rolls another constitution saving throw to concentrate on Spirit Guardians. With the advantage of the Warcaster feat, a result of 16 succeeds. More concerning right now, Cleric Cloudburn retains only 5 of her total 84 hit points. She will suffer 4d4 of necrotic damage at the start of her next turn if she will be within 60 feet of at least one of these hellbound warriors. In the fiery domain of the Archfiend, the bladesinger wizard and the devotion paladin are trapped, potentially for eternity. The sinful laughter of the Archfiend flows through everything here, while the Fiend considers what to do with these 2 most recent captives. In round 3, the fiendish purple worm uses its special siege rampage feature. It burrows beneath the ground at double of its normal speed, and it erupts upward, moving through the tower that the fiendish ogres were trying to attack earlier. Now the structure is destroyed. The collapsed rubble falls to the ground, acting in the same way as a collapsing roof trap. Any creature within here can roll a dexterity saving throw for attempting to dodge away from half of the damage of the falling debris. The fiendish purple worm rolls 7 and fails. It suffers the full amount of 14 bludgeoning damage, now with 188 of its total 247 hit points. Any of the Academy bystanders in here do not survive. The area of the collapsed debris now is treated as difficult terrain. For most creatures, the movement speed through here is halved. The worm uses its remaining speed to burrow beneath the ground, gaining full cover. The Path of the Wildheart Barbarian, Anna Moll, starts her turn with all of her 113 hit points. Now that the darkness spell has vanished, the barbarian can see the warlock belly burns. She understands that the current situation is dire. The bladesinger and the paladin were defeated and claimed by the Archfiend. The light cleric suffers with the same hellbound curse. Anna Moll makes a standing jump with her super strength to jump over the difficult terrain of the collapsed debris. She moves into melee contact with the warlock. She attacks with her maul, using her barbarian rage and her reckless attack. She forgoes the advantage of the reckless attack, and instead she applies the option of her brutal strike. The attack roll is a natural 20, scoring a critical hit. The damage dice are doubled. The maul delivers 27 bludgeoning damage, and the brutal strike adds 11 bludgeoning damage. With the critical hit, the barbarian could make an extra attack with her maul, using a bonus action with the Great Weapon Master feat. She wants to use her bonus action for something else. The warlock's Armor of Agathis automatically causes 25 cold damage to the barbarian. The damage is reduced by half during the barbarian's Rage of the Wilds. The Armor of Agathis now is depleted. With the topple weapon mastery of the maul, the attack could knock the warlock prone. Ballet Burns rolls a Constitution saving throw. She rolls 12, and she is toppled into the prone condition. Part of the barbarian's brutal strike allows to push the target 15 feet away. Now the barbarian could move up to half of her speed toward the warlock. Instead, though, she stays here, and she uses her second regular attack to grapple her ally, the light domain cleric. The cleric allows herself to be grappled, meaning that she chooses to fail the saving throw against the grapple. Anna Maul can move up to half of her speed while grappling the cleric. Now she uses her bonus action to start her barbarian rage again, thereby allowing to move up to half of her speed as part of this bonus action. Even with the extra movement, the barbarian reaches to her limit. The cleric is not quite far enough away to be safe from the automatic 4d4 necrotic damage of the hellbound curse. In this case, I am allowing for the barbarian to attempt an athletics skill check to maneuver the light cleric and to toss her outside the 60-foot range. Animal rolls with advantage during her rage. With a result of 20, she manages to toss her ally just barely into the safety zone. The cleric still is affected by the hellbound curse, but at least she will be able to start her turn outside the 60-foot range of the hellbound warriors, who otherwise would cause an automatic 4d4 of necrotic damage, while she retains only 5 of her 84 hit points. The warlock Ballet Burns starts her turn with 76 of her total 108 hit points. She uses half of her movement to stand up from the prone condition. She steps toward the statue of the Academy founder. Ballet Burns knows that the statue is protected by a powerful magical ward, but she can attempt to cast Dispel Magic as if against a 9th level spell, potentially deactivating the magical ward just for a brief moment until the end of her current turn. As her action, Ballet Burns casts Dispel Magic with a 5th level Pact Magic spell slot. She needs to roll a spellcasting ability check to break through the magical ward. She rolls 21 and succeeds. Something emerges from the base of the statue. Ballet Burns sees a stone tablet. It resembles an ancient artifact that might bear an inscription, but it appears to be blank. Ballet Burns finds no available time right now to investigate. She uses her interaction with an object to grab the tablet and stow it among her belongings. As a bonus action, the warlock casts Sanctuary on herself without using a spell slot, instead using her magic initiate feat as a cleric. For the next 1 minute, anyone who wants to attack or attempt to cause harm to the warlock first must roll a wisdom saving throw. Upon a failure, the attack is lost, or it could move to a different target. The spell will end early if the warlock will create any damage or harmful effect, or if she will cast a spell. At the end of the warlock turn right now, the magical ward reactivates, protecting the statue once again. The Eldritch Knight Fighter, Eldritch, starts her turn with all of her 67 hit points. She saw that the warlock dispelled the magical ward around the Academy founder's statue, obtained a stone tablet, and then did something magical to protect herself. Eldritch moves into melee contact with the warlock, and she prepares to attack. She meets a force trying to stop her from causing harm to the warlock. She rolls a wisdom saving throw. With a result of 20, she breaks through the protection of the warlock's sanctuary spell. Eldritch attacks with her scimitar. The attack roll of 21 hits against the armor class of 13, and it is too high to be blocked by a shield spell. The hit causes 9 slashing damage, and the Nick Weapon Mastery allows another extra attack with a short sword. In order to make the Nick attack, Eldritch rolls another wisdom saving throw. A result of 21 succeeds. The Nick attack rolls 23, hitting the warlock. The short sword causes 8 piercing damage, and the Vex Weapon Mastery allows advantage on the next attack roll. For the regular second attack, Eldritch rolls once more with the wisdom saving throw. A result of 12 fails. Eldritch considers to use her Mage Slayer feat to break through the Sanctuary spell, but she decides to save this feature for now. The Light Domain Cleric, Clara Cloudburn, starts her turn with only 5 of her total 84 hit points. She retains the Hellbound curse. Thanks to the athleticism of the Barbarian, Clara Cloudburn finds herself just barely outside the 60-foot range from the nearest Hellbound warriors, or else she would have suffered 4d4 necrotic damage at the start of her turn, and then become claimed as a captive of the Arch-Fiend within the Fiend's domain. Cleric Cloudburn uses her action to cast Greater Restoration on herself, expending her only 5th level spell slot. This spell removes the hellbound curse. The cleric no longer is in mortal danger. The Light Domain cleric moves back toward the combat area. The hellhounds and the fiendish ogres are the next to act. 1 hellhound and 2 fiendish ogres move to surround the eldritch knight and to make their attacks. The 2 fiendish ogres enter into the emanation of the cleric's spirit guardian spell, and they are exposed to 21 radiant damage. They roll wisdom saving throws. With results of 6 and 3, they suffer the full amount of the damage. Meanwhile, another hellhound and 2 fiendish ogres need to use their actions to dash back toward the combat area. Only 1 hellhound and 2 fiendish ogres still can use their actions to attack at this time. The hellhound snarls and tries to regain its fire breath. With a roll of 2, the hellhound cannot reignite its fire. The hellhound makes 2 bite attacks, rolling with the advantage of the pack tactics, while its allies are within 5 feet of the target. The 2 advantage attack rolls are 18 and 20. Both of the attacks ordinarily would hit the Eldritch Knight's armor class of 17, but Eldritch uses her reaction with her defensive duelist feat to parry with her finesse weapons, boosting her armor class up to 21 and blocking the 2 attacks. The 2 fiendish ogres make their hellish hammer attacks. They roll 10 and 9. They cannot make contact through the Eldritch Knight's defensive duelist armor class of 21. In round 4, the fiendish purple worm rises up from the ground, using its siege rampage feature to burst through another building. The building is destroyed. The worm rolls a dexterity saving throw to try to avoid some of the falling debris. A result of 18 succeeds, and the worm suffers only half of the 24 bludgeoning damage. The worm then burrows beneath the ground again, gaining full cover. The Wildheart Barbarian, Anna Maul, starts her turn with 88 of her 113 hit points. She moves toward the combat. She wants to attack the warlock, but she cannot move through the spaces of the hellhounds and the fiendish ogres who are blocking the path. The barbarian rests her maul in one hand. With her other hand, she draws out a javelin to throw at the warlock. In the current situation, the warlock gains half cover, granting a bonus of +2 to her armor class and her dexterity saving throws. Before Anna Maul can attempt to attack, though, she needs to roll a wisdom saving throw to attempt to break through the warlock's sanctuary spell. A roll of 9 fails. In this case, the barbarian redirects the attack against the nearest fiendish ogre. Anna Maul forgoes the advantage of her reckless attack. Instead, she uses her brutal strike option. The javelin attack roll is 23, hitting against the armor class of 11. The attack causes 13 piercing damage, and the target is slowed by 10 feet. The brutal strike adds another 9 piercing damage. As part of the brutal strike, the barbarian can push the target 15 feet and move up to half of her speed toward the pushed target without provoking opportunity attacks. Anna Maul decides to move in such a way that she can enter into melee contact with the warlock. For her second attack, Anna Maul uses her maul. She rolls a wisdom saving throw to try to break through the warlock's sanctuary spell. A roll of 12 fails. Anna Maul redirects her attack at the nearest hellhound. She rolls with advantage of the reckless attack. The advantage attack roll with the maul is 23, hitting against the armor class of 15. The maul delivers 15 bludgeoning damage. With the topple weapon mastery of the maul, the barbarian forces the hellhound to roll a constitution saving throw. A result of 17 succeeds. The hellhound resists against being toppled into the prone condition. The warlock, Belade Burns, starts her turn with 76 of her total 108 hit points. She obtained the stone tablet from the statue of the Academy founder. Now she is prepared to escape from this battle. The warlock uses her bonus action to cast the spell Jump on herself, without using a spell slot, instead using her eldritch invocation of the otherworldly leap to cast Jump at will. During the next 1 minute, once during each of her turns, the warlock can use 10 feet of her movement to jump 30 feet. Belade Burns acknowledges that the Eldritch Knight defeated her previously in a duel, but now the warlock has grown too powerful for the Eldritch Knight or for any of her companions. None of these heroes possibly could stop the warlock now. Belade Burns uses her action to cast the spell Mislead with her final available pact magic spell slot. Importantly, the casting requires no material or verbal component. With her concentration for the next 1 hour, the warlock creates a duplicate of herself, appearing within her current space. The real Belade Burns is invisible, and she can perceive through the duplicate's senses. During her next turns, the warlock can use her action to control the movements of the duplicate, moving the duplicate at double of her normal speed. The duplicate is intangible and invulnerable. For now, the real Belade Burns is invisible. She uses the active jump spell to maneuver over the allies who are surrounding her, and then she continues to move away from here. Meanwhile, the duplicate of the mislead spell stays in the original space. The Eldritch Knight fighter, Eldritch, starts her turn with all of her 67 hit points. Eldritch makes her series of weapon attacks against the duplicate of the warlock. Her scimitar and her short sword pass through the target with no effects. At this point, I interpret that nothing will stop the invisible warlock from escaping. Meanwhile, the Eldritch Knight, the light cleric, and the Wildheart barbarian no longer are in any serious danger. The light domain cleric, Cleric Cloudburn, can use her movement to bring her spirit guardians into the spaces of the remaining hellhounds and fiendish ogres. She can use her action to dodge, thereby imposing disadvantage on incoming attack rolls and gaining advantage on her dexterity saving throws. Her bonus actions will remain available for casting Healing Word on herself or on her allies to regain enough hit points for avoiding the dangers of the hellbound curse. During the warlock's next turns, she can move away at a comfortable pace while she moves her duplicate to mislead her opponents. The Eldritch Knight and the Barbarian try at first to chase after the duplicate of the warlock, but soon enough they can recognize that the duplicate is only an illusion. They accept that the warlock must have escaped somehow, and then they can contribute substantial damage output to eliminate the remaining hellhounds and fiendish ogres. The fiendish purple worm continues to destroy more of the buildings. It seems not to care about the bludgeoning damage of the collapsing debris. The worm destroys one building after another. Whenever possible, it burrows beneath the ground to avoid exposure during combat. After some time, the warlock Belly Burns finds a secluded place. She needs 1 minute to work with a tiny device that allows her to teleport back to her teleportation facility. Essentially, this device allows to cast Teleportation Circle, linking back only to the point of origin at the warlock's teleportation facility. At the Spellsword Academy, the campus is in ruins. The only standing structure now is the statue of the Academy founder. The fiendish purple worm could not penetrate through the powerful magical ward around the statue. The worm destroyed every other structure here. Once more, the fiendish purple worm burrows beneath the ground. The earth rumbles, while the gargantuan creature seeks its next place to bring its rampage of destruction. The rumbling fades away into the distance, and the Academy campus becomes quiet once again. The extensive debris becomes a somber monument, commemorating the Academy students and scholars who were lost here. Only very few people have survived. The Eldritch Knight, the Light Cleric, and the Wildheart Barbarian feel the loss of the bladesinger and the Devotion Paladin. After some time, the Warlock Belly Burns travels away from her teleportation facility, and she returns to her magical lair. The Warlock arrives in triumph, announcing that the Spellsword Academy has been destroyed. The Academy no longer will pose a threat with its irresponsible abuse of magical powers. This news prompts relief and celebration among the farming community that has started to grow around this place. Inside the safety of her magical lair, Belly Burns casts the spell Demiplane with her 8th level Mystic Arcanum feature. The Warlock walks through the door of her Demiplane and she enters into her private area. Her personal Demiplane replicates the study area where she learned about magic years ago when she was a student at the Spellsword Academy, before she was expelled. Within this extra safety of the Demiplane, Belly Burns studies the stone tablet that she obtained earlier from the statue of the Academy founder. According to her prior investigation, Belly Burns believes that this tablet was inscribed with the true name of her archfiend patron. Currently, though, the Warlock sees no inscription whatsoever. With no time pressure to study this item, Belly Burns can ascertain that it is protected by a special version of the spell Illusory Script. A script is here, but it is invisible. This particular version of the Illusory Script is permanent, and it cannot be dispelled. The only way to read the script is with the special sensory perception of True Sight. While studying here, the Warlock advances in her character level, now at level 16. As part of gaining this new character level, the Warlock can change one of her Eldritch invocations. She decides to sacrifice her invocation of the Mask of Many Faces that she has used often for casting the spell Disguise Self at will. Instead now, the Warlock learns a different Eldritch invocation of Witch Sight. She gains True Sight with a range of 30 feet. With the True Sight, Belly Burns can read the Illusory Script. On the stone tablet, Belly Burns sees the inscription. She knows the true name of her archfiend patron. This knowledge is so intense that it could cause serious psychic damage. The Warlock rolls an intelligence saving throw. She rolls 19 for a success. She avoids the psychic damage and other possible effects. Additionally, at level 16, the warlock learned the Mage Slayer feat, based on her experience with the battle at the Spellsword Academy. In the video text description, you can see the web link for a preview of the level 16 character sheet in D&D Beyond. Blade Burns exits her demiplane and returns into her magical lair. She contemplates about what she will do with this knowledge of the true name of her Archfiend patron. In this moment, the Archfiend sends her hellish mentality into the mind of the warlock. The Archfiend accuses the warlock of failing to fulfill her side of the current fiendish contract. The Spellsword Academy was not destroyed entirely. The statue of the Academy founder still is standing. A few of the Academy members still are surviving. The Archfiend begins to pull the warlock from the mortal world and into the Fiend's domain to be a captive here for eternity. The Fiend stops with this action, though, when Blade Burns speaks the true name of the Archfiend. Technically, speaking the name prevents the Fiend from regenerating hit points, and the Fiend could be defeated in this way. Given these circumstances, the Archfiend decides not to transport the warlock back into the Fiend's domain. At least for now, they will stay in separate worlds. Blade Burns suggests to negotiate a new fiendish contract. The Archfiend and the warlock agree that neither one of them will harm the other directly or indirectly. The Archfiend finds some pleasure in knowing that the Spellsword Academy nearly was eliminated. This amount of destruction empowered the Fiend, but still the Fiend has not yet gained enough power to open a portal with enough energy to cross over into the mortal world. The Archfiend ponders about what to do with the latest captives in this fiery domain. The bladesinger wizard, Salemunglu, and the devotion paladin, Vonanavan, are trapped here, along with other special guests. At the Spellsword Academy, the eldritch knight fighter, eldritch, the light domain cleric, Clara Cloudburn, and the wildheart barbarian, Anna Moll, accept that they should do their best to live up to the expectations of the bladesinger and the paladin. They are unsure of how to proceed, and the fate of the Spellsword Academy is uncertain. Someone will need to stop the runaway fiendish purple worm. Someone will need to manage with whatever the warlock Blade Burns might be planning. Our story will continue with Nemesis Battles. For now, in the comment section, please share your ideas and suggestions about what could have happened differently and what could happen during other episodes. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.